From a perfect record that speaks for itself to defeating boxers that have way more experience. Here's why fighters are really scared of Devin Haney. Right now, Haney's frustrated because he wants to go up against the best, but nobody's down to fight him, and can you blame them? Just look at this guy's record. Are you ready for this? Haney's currently sitting at a perfect 30-0 with 15 victories coming by way of knockout. Crazy, right? But it gets even crazier when you realize he's only 24 years old. And it shows you how dominant he is already. But it's not only his brute force that makes him terrifying in the ring. He's got speed that would make a cheetah jealous, a fight IQ that's off the charts. And it's like he's got a crystal ball predicting his opponent's every move before they even think of it. It's wild. By the way, did you know that last year, Haney became the first undisputed champion in the four-belt era? Yeah, you heard right. He went toe-to-toe with George Kambosos Jr., the supposed favorite on his own turf in Australia. But guess what? Haney schooled him, outboxing and outpointing him like it was nobody's business. He snatched all 4 titles and left no doubt that he's the top dog in the lightweight division. But wait, there's more. Haney's defended his titles with style and grace and even took on Vasily Lomachenko, a 3-weight world champion. And do you know what happened? Haney showed Loma who's boss, winning that fight by unanimous decision. I'm telling you, the guy's on fire. His future's looking brighter than the sun. And there's even talk of him facing off against big names like Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis. Can you imagine the fireworks in those matchups? They'd be battles for the ages, and I wouldn't bet against Haney. He's proven time and time again that he's a force to be reckoned with. So keep your eyes peeled, because Devin's making waves in the boxing world, and he's only getting started. This kid's game is one of the best I've seen in years, and he's got an amazing set of skills that make him a total nightmare for his opponents. When you watch him in the ring, you can tell that he's a master strategist and a calculating outboxer with totally slick counterpunching skills. It's like he's playing a game of chess, constantly making moves that keep his opponents guessing. But one thing that's super cool about Haney is his ability to control the distance. He's like a ninja, always keeping his opponents on the outside so they're unable to touch him. It almost reminds me of 80s boxing legend Salvador Sanchez. Devin knows how to use his reach advantage to his benefit, popping his jab and creating that initial range. Plus, he's got quick hands. And being in his early 20s, he's got plenty of time to keep using that advantage. Now let's talk about that jab of his because it's a thing of beauty, guys. He throws a quick up jab from his Philly shell stance, catching his opponents completely off guard. But do you know what's even more impressive? His ability to adapt to his opponent's game, change his guard, parry their jabs, and throw them off. It's like he's always one step ahead and making sure they can't dominate him in that area. But here's the thing. Haney doesn't stop at only his jab. He's constantly mixing things up, using fakes, and loves throwing lead hooks to keep his opponents guessing. At the end of the day, he's unpredictable, and that's what makes him so dangerous. But guess what? Haney's list of skills don't end there, and his talents pack a punch, literally. I want to talk about his transitioning attack combos, which are in a class of their own. I'm talking about mixing up his punches, not only going head to body, but finding those sneaky openings around the guard. It's like he's playing a game of connect the dots with his opponent's faces. And you know what's cool? A lot of fighters can throw crazy combos on the pads, but freeze up in actual fights. Not Haney, though. When he's in the pocket, he unleashes lightning-fast combinations. And let me tell you, it's something to see. Seriously, it's like he's got eyes in the back of his head, slipping punches while dishing out his own punishment. Haney's also a counter-punching master, with his go-to move being the counter right hand, and man, does he make it count. He times his opponent's jabs, slips him like a ninja, and fires back with a powerful right. But he's not just a one-trick pony, he's always mixing things up, with angled uppercuts, and even takes a half step back before launching his deadly counters. But defense is where Haney really shines. He's got that shoulder roll, waist movement, and slick footwork, like he's doing a dance in there, avoiding punches while setting up his own shots. He's got the whole package, and it's a nightmare for anyone stepping into the ring with him. Clearly, the guy has mad skills, but I wouldn't be any good at my job if I didn't talk about some of Haney's fights, where his skills were on full display. Do you remember that iconic fight with the previously undisputed George Kambosos Jr.? Haney wiped the floor with the guy. You know, it wasn't the fight Haney initially wanted, because he had to put his IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO belts on the line, but man, did he deliver. From the get-go, Haney showcased his superior boxing skills, adjusting on the fly and displaying the power we've all been craving to see from him. Haney outclassed Kambosos in every round, leaving no doubt who the better fighter was. And the judges' scorecards reflected that, with a unanimous decision win. Kambosos tried to switch stances to confuse Haney, but it didn't work. Devin quickly figured out his rhythm and timing, and from there, it was all him. He stood tall in the middle of the ring, blasting jabs, sitting on his punches, and landing devastating power shots. Kambosos was left scratching his head, looked confused, and didn't have a backup plan. That's what happens when you enter the ring with this kid. In his post-fight interview, Haney made it clear that he's ready to take on anyone. He believes he's the best fighter in the world, he's willing to back it up, and whoever steps in the ring with him next better be prepared for war. But that's not the only boxer Haney's absolutely destroyed. His knockouts are legendary, and poor Antonio Moran learned that the hard way. You know what's crazy? Before the fight, people were doubting Haney's punching power, and he proved all the naysayers wrong, knocking Moran the out. The coolest part is that Haney was only 20 years old when that fight happened. Can you believe it? Promoter Eddie Hearn was all pumped up and called Devin a superstar, comparing his performance to an artist creating a masterpiece, like he was Pablo Picasso or some. And fun fact, before facing Haney, Moran was also undefeated. But our guy changed that real quick, landing a killer body shot that rocked Moran and then, bam, hit him with a massive overhand right to the chin. Moran went down like a sack of potatoes, man. No count, no mercy, K.O. Good night, sweetheart. Devin's dad gave him some golden advice. When you've got your opponent hurt, go for the body, and that's exactly what he did, going to town on Moran and mixing it up with body shots and killer punches. Haney's defense was airtight too, using that shoulder roll technique like a boss. Poor Moran didn't stand a chance. Haney's win was something else, and he's clearly the undisputed god of the lightweight division. His power, speed, and killer instinct make him one frightening opponent. And I'm just glad I don't have to fight him, because he'd crush me like a tin can. And before I let you go, I want to tell you about one final Devin Haney fight. This one was legendary, because he beat someone with almost twice the amount of experience. Yep, you guessed it. I'm talking about the bout with Juan Carlos Burgos. Even at only 19, Haney was already making opponents tremble. Facing a seasoned fighter like Burgos was a tough challenge, but he handled it like a boss, taking control of the ring from the get-go and showing off his scary skills. His speed, power, and ring smarts were all off the charts. But what really made Haney terrifying was his ability to take a hit and keep on coming. Burgos landed some solid shots, and Haney shrugged them off like they were mosquito bites. It was like trying to stop a freight train with a feather. But here's the crazy part. Devin was just scratching the surface of his potential. He was young, hungry, and ready to take on the world. His confidence was through the roof, and his opponents knew they were in for a rough ride. Looking back, that fight was a glimpse into the future of one of boxing's scariest opponents, whose crazy drive and fearless attitude make him a nightmare to step into the ring with. So there you have it, fight fans. From defeating boxers that have way more experience, to a perfect record that speaks for itself. That's why fighters are really scared of Devin Haney.